What's good, y'all, man? We talking about week 2 passing leaders via On3 Sports, man. Let's break it down. All right, at number 1 is DJ Lagway. This is, again, just for week 2. I'm not going to lie. The more I watch the tape, the more I analyze his film. Again, I like Coach Billy Napier. It's time to start this guy. Like, I know you're going to go with Graham Mertz and let him get, some looks and let him be the starting quarterback against Texas A&M. I'm telling you, man, first possession and you struggling, go ahead and put this kid in, man. Stop playing around. Put this kid in. Let him ball, bro. That's how good and elite he looked. Again, I know it was against Samford. I know. But looking at that tape, how accurate, how he was processing the field, how he knew where his reads were, the juice he gave his team. Yo, some stuff you just can't replicate. This kid can't replicate, man. Go ahead and make him that starter, dog. All right, next you had Taylor Green, who's had a pretty good start to the season. Obviously with Arkansas, they did lose to Oklahoma State, but he had another stellar game against, obviously, the Cowboys, doing his thing. 416 yards passing. He's looked really good. And then, obviously, for Wake Forest, Hank Bachmeier, they struggled a little bit defensively against Virginia. They lost 31-30, but he had a heck of a game. 403 yards. And he was stellar in that close loss to them. All right, the next you had Kyle McCord. I seen that game. Watched it on ESPN, man. He lit it up. Trevor Pena had 2 touchdowns in that game. Arden Gaston, he did his thing, had 2 touchdowns as well. Those 2 couldn't be stopped. McCord, they were just tough to stop. Like I said, they had those in-breaking routes. They had the seam routes over the middle of the field, and they was cooking the linebackers, unfortunately, Trellis Tatum and obviously Kyle Eifert. But they had a really good game plan. Shout out to the offensive coordinator. Kyle McCord has looked pretty good to elite in the first couple of games of the season. We'll see if he can continue it. Now for Cade Klubnik, 378 yards. It looks all good and dandy, but you played App State. So I'm not going to buy fully that performance because I seen you the week before against an elite defense in Georgia, and you struggled mightily. So I'm not necessarily buying that performance. Shout out to him for the 378 yards. But got to see more. Got to see against an elite team. I'm not really buying it against a Group 5 team. App State, they are a pretty good Group of 5 team, but nonetheless, I'm not buying it fully. Next is obviously Jackson Dart. He's looked good to start the season for Ole Miss so far. They have them as one of the better teams in the SEC. 377 yards passing. Had a pretty good game. He continues to kind of light it up, and I think if he continues to do this, he will start kind of raising himself up into those quarterback conversations, especially for Heisman. All right, so you had Aiden Childs from Michigan State. He had 3 touchdowns, 363 yards. Too many interceptions for my liking. Has more interceptions than touchdowns this season, but nonetheless, 363 yards. Mikey Keene of Fresno State, same kind of thing, man. 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but 358 yards passing. Again, too many interceptions for my liking in that one, but he did hit for 358 yards. Then you had Anthony Calandria. Ended up winning the game against Wake Forest. He had a stellar game, 357 yards passing for his Cavaliers, man, in the close win against Wake Forest. And last but not least, you had TJ Finley of Western Kentucky, man, throwing for 351 yards, man. Used to play for Auburn, doing his thing at Western Kentucky, man, and lighting it up in their big game as well, man. So shout out to them. So, yeah, man, that's the passing leaders. That's my thoughts, man. These kids have been impressive so far starting the season. We'll see if they can keep it up. And like I said with Lagway, man, that might have to be your guy. But the other ones, Kyle McCord, Jackson Dart, Taylor Green, have had impressive seasons so far, man. But y'all comment below what's your thoughts on week 2 passing leaders. Can these kids keep it up?